الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. We bear witness that there is no deity but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his servant and messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you who are believers, guard against Allah, have piety, and do not die except as Muslims. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد. Have piety and look forward to what you have done and to the results of your actions. So what is taqwa? Taqwa, it's a relatively abstract concept, but intuitively we feel we know what it means even if we cannot articulate it in clear sentences. But every one of us feels what taqwa is, and when we are getting closer to taqwa and when we are getting away from taqwa. It seems to be the general theme of Islam, the type of relationship that we must have between us and our Lord and us and everything else around us. Many people have gave definitions of what taqwa is, all good efforts to approximate what it means. Today I would like to add one more definition, inshallah, with a practical dimension, with a practical meaning. Last time I was here, we talked about core Islamic values and how they help solidify and create and society and give it cohesiveness. And those Islamic values that are the meaning behind the actions that we do, that are the meaning, the general meaning, the higher meaning of everything we do. For example, mercy. Many actions can fall under mercy in Islam. Justice. Many actions fall under justice. Equality. Many actions fall under equality. Those core values of Islam, those highest meaning of everything we do. Each and every one of those is a manifestation or example of taqwa. It's a practical example of taqwa. If you're looking what taqwa is or the signs of taqwa in your world, in your life, are you seeing those core Islamic values behind the meanings, behind the actions? Are these values materializing? So one aspect of taqwa is the realization of the core Islamic values. One practical aspect of taqwa is the realization of those core Islamic values. And this brings me to my topic for today, and I would like to talk about one of those core Islamic values in detail, and inshallah maybe the rest for later. Today I would like to talk about mercy. You see, we do what we do, pray, fast, do hajj, try to do good in life, monetary wise or otherwise. But then at the end of the day, if you do not feel like what you're doing is cleaning your heart, changing you for the better, then you're sort of missing out on the big picture. Why you're missing out on why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed the things He has prescribed for us. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Fasting so you could attain taqwa, and so forth. Again, it seems to be the general theme for Islam, and it is the road for purification. So, what is mercy? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the highest example, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. In fact, two of His names are attached to this concept, and they may be the only concept that has two names. I don't know, but at least two of His names are attached to this concept. And regardless of what the difference between Rahim and Rahman, I'm not here to debate academically what the difference is, but at least it's important It's valuable that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has named Himself 2 names along the same lines. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wasn't merciful, life would be difficult. But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the highest example. And for Him, from Him, we learn what mercy is. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, He has given us a lot of mercy. But He wouldn't just say mercy, He would give an example of His mercy. Sometimes His mercy means guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have sent you as mercy for mankind. And the Prophet ﷺ said, أَنَا نَبِيُّ الرَّحْمَةِ. I am the messenger of mercy. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says His mercy is His provisions and sustenance and what He provides for us. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يُنَزِّلُ الْغَيْثَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا قَنَطُوا وَيَنْشُرُ رَحْمَتَهُ. And He is the one who brings down the rain after they have despaired and spreads His mercy. Even when someone is drowned up to their ears with bad deeds, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to say about that? He says, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِي. My servants, my worshippers, الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. That you have spent so much in the wrong path, so much of your life and your energy. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Do not despair of the mercy of Allah. So, with Allah's mercy, let's take a look at how Islam views mercy in other aspects of our lives and other categories. In the category of leadership, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to His Prophet, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. It is mercy of Allah that you are kind to them, that you're soft with them. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you were didn't treat them good, if you were annoying, if you were difficult to deal with, they would walk away. And also the Prophet ﷺ said, as a leader and as a prophet and as a messenger, every time he is about to prescribe something or explain some duties of the Muslim, he always keeps in the back of his mind, is this going to be tough on the ummah? Especially when things are not fard. He says about siwak, for example, لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك عند كل صلاة. If I wasn't afraid that it will be too difficult for my ummah, then I would have prescribed for them to clean their teeth before every prayer. And that theme goes on and on and on, and is the need and it's important for leaders in the community and leaders to have this aspect of mercy when they deal with the people that they are responsible for. Of course, mercy in the Muslim world in leadership is an extinct phenomenon. It doesn't exist. Merciful leaders are a fossil. They don't exist. But it is up to us to remember that destructive, vicious, ugly example is not necessarily the reality. It's not a law of nature. This is what Islam tells us that leadership should be. And we have to follow that example. And then mercy extends into, walks and spreads throughout the entire social fabric, beginning with family, with parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. And be kind to them, be humble with them, be submissive, out of mercy. This is how we should treat our parents. And analogy to our parents, قِيَاسًا عَلَى الْآبَاءِ, we should treat and respect the elderly, in general that way. And we should remember that Just like the mercy that our parents had for us is instinctual, it is an instinct. It is Allah's mercy with the children and with the babies, that their parents would care for them and would want to take care of them. We should give that mercy back, or some of that mercy back. I remember a story of a person saying to his friend or his sheikh, I'm not sure, general story. He said, I am so good to my mother. She is very sick and very old, and she cannot take care of herself, and I clean her up. I clean her up, when she needs to do what she needs to do. And he thinks he's doing a really great job. And he is. But that person reminded him and told him, perhaps you're cleaning her up, but you're hoping for a resolution to this bad situation. But when she was cleaning you up, she was wishing you life. And she was wishing you would grow and become a man, and a successful man. So even the context is different. And then mercy spreads to children. I don't need to talk about mercy to children. Again, it is instinctual. But I would like to talk about is the analogy of that mercy to children, to children without parents. There is great reward for those who have mercy to children that lost their parents. Prophet ﷺ said, أَنَا وَكَافِلُ الْيَتِيمِ كَهَاتَيْنِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. And he pointed out his fingers that way. He said, he and the person who takes care of orphans are side by side in Jannah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us of a very, very important verse. It gives a lot of meaning. Listen to what he says. وَلْيَخْشَى الَّذِينَ لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا خَافُوا عَلَيْهِمْ فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Those who leave behind them, in the case of their death, those who leave behind them weak children, and they are afraid for them. Weak children, they leave behind them, they're not going to be there to take care of them. What is he asking him? He says, لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ. Suppose you leave behind your weak children, and you are afraid of them. You see that concept, that example? Then what are you supposed to do? Then he's telling them, then say righteous. Then say what is right. Which means whatever in that hypothetical situation that you are conceiving or thinking about, what do you expect others to do? What do you expect society to do? What do you expect your friends and family to do? If you leave behind weak children that cannot take care of themselves, what do you expect people to do? Whatever you expect, whatever that expectation is, it is also your responsibility while you're alive toward others. It's only fair to think you should do whatever you expect the rest of people to do if you, or your children in this case, are in a tough situation. So that's mercy. Another aspect of mercy. People always say that women have surplus of emotions. And sometimes guys ridicule this in a way. But if you think about it from another angle, it is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that women have the surplus of emotions. Because at 2 o'clock in the morning, when your child is crying, and you're dead from work and you're sleeping and you can't wake up, but your wife would wake up at the minute she sees that, she hears the child cry. And she would do whatever they need to do. Breastfeed them, clean them, play with them, put them back to bed. And all this while you're sleeping. That's mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That surplus of emotions is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not something to ridicule. And it's certainly not something to use against women. And in this context, sometimes people quote a particular hadith that is used and abused and misused. So please be mindful of that. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the relationship between man and a woman, between a man and his wife. He says, وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And we have created between you a bond that is mercy and mawadda. Not sure what the translation. Gentleness. And then, after the family, the mercy theme of Islam spreads to the rest of society, outside the bounds of family. And to the realm of man with man, to the realm of interaction between people. Well, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Muslim community? He says, رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُمْ. They are merciful amongst each other. رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُمْ. You know, there are many aspects to what kind of relationships to have with people. The general theme, the general prevailing aspect is, well, what's in it for me? What is going to benefit me? It revolves around the concept of profit, basically, which in turn is a product of modernity. But it is not a law of nature that the concept of profit or what's in it for me is what should rule the nature of relationships between people. There is a better way, there is a different way, and believe me, and you'll only know when you try, it is far more pleasurable to have a different kind. When you do something good for people, sometimes you don't even know, you just do it out of the goodness of your heart, you would feel so good that you are encouraged to do more. When you do something and you're not expecting anything in return, that's a different feeling. That you can only try and then see what it's like. And when you're dealing with other people, we have to think almost along the same lines as that example about the weak children that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the verse. You see, some people go through this life and they may succeed, they have money, they have a good job. It's like, I won the lottery of life. I'm good. I'm doing good. But, what if you didn't? Okay, you did good. Great. Have money, wealth, whatever, power. You did great. What if you didn't? Isn't that a realistic possibility? That is a realistic possibility because many people don't. So, should we think about, instead of thinking about, I made it. Let's, expand our horizons a little bit and we think about, well, how can we all be okay? Instead of just me. How can we all be okay? What does that mean in terms of what I need to do and our responsibilities to other people? That we should all do okay. It's not about one person, just making it. It's about the possibility that you couldn't have. And if that possibility did happen, what would you expect people to do? Real examples. Let's say you are in a war zone right now. Let's say you're in some city in Syria and you're getting bombed. You don't have supplies, you don't have medical relief, you don't have food, you don't have security, you don't have safety. You can't provide for your children. Hell, you can't even take them to a doctor if they need to have a doctor. How weak would you feel? How bitter is that? You could have been there. Each and every one of us here. It's just struck of luck that you're not. But if you were, what would you expect people to do? What would you expect those people that have everything? And supposedly, they're Muslims. And supposedly, they're thinking about the hereafter. And supposedly this, and supposedly that. What would you want them to do? That's what we should ask ourselves. I'll take this a little further. Well, it's great that you made it. It's It's great that you have a lot of money, successful, knowledge, house, business. But guess what? You could have died as a child. You could have died in your mother's womb and never made it to this life. You could have had a genetic disease. And we could have been very miserable. And by the way, in a few years, it's all going to be over. No matter what you think you have, either age or sickness or both, and then the time is up. So it's an opportunity to materialize taqwa in our lives, to have a real, practical example of what we should have here inside. That taqwa that we should accomplish. And then, after that mercy spreads right from Allah to the Muslim family, all through the Muslim society, it even extends into non-humans. There was a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ narrated that one man was walking and he saw an average man, didn't seem like he was any unique or special in any way. But he was walking and he saw a dog that seemed to be very thirsty. So he took the effort and he went down to the well and he brought him some water with his shoe and he made him drink. And then Prophet ﷺ said, God has thanked him for that and has forgave him for that. Because that is a living human being. And every living human being, anything good you do is sadaqah, is charity. في كل كبدة رطبة صدقة. And on the other end, he gives an example of a woman that was, praying all the time, doing everything she's supposed to be doing. But apparently she was very mean to her cat. And she was liable for that. It did not go well for her. And even at the time of Udhiyah, Prophet ﷺ used to tell his companions, if you are about to slaughter an animal, make sure you sharpen your instrument so the animal would not suffer, so it would end quickly. And at the time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, who was one of the caliphs, he was a good man, he put some regulations on the mail transportation, which used to happen through camels and horses and whatnot. But he put some weight restrictions on what these animals can carry, out of mercy, because they were being abused. And even at some point within the history of the Islamic civilization, they had natural parks or areas that are left untouched for old animals to just go there after they have served their duty and die peacefully. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي ويكافئ مزيدا واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear brothers, again as a quick summary, there are values in Islam. There are meanings to the things we do. Those are higher meanings. Those things that are aspects of all of our actions and the prescription and the regulations, the things that we do have to point in that direction. Things that we do have to result in us getting closer to those values and meanings. And if we don't achieve that, then we have missed the big picture and we are stuck in the details. And one of those meanings is mercy that we talked about today. And inshallah in the future we can talk about some more. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا اللهم فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك وأنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت فلك الحمد على ما قضيت نشكرك ونتوب إليك ونؤمن بك ونتوكل عليك اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معاصيك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا. اللهم نسألك التقوى يا الله، نسألك التقوى في القلب وفي العمل، نسألك التقوى يا الله في الحياة قبل الممات. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم وأقم الصلاة.